Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another special subscriber edition of Reverse the Verse. Reverse the Verse. Reverse the Verse. I'm your community manager, Jared Huckabee, just back from vacation. Welcome, everybody. Oh, I'm going outside my box here. Hold on. What is that? All right. With us today are members of the Austin engineering team. We've got with us Mr. Ahmed. Ahmed, say hello to the nice fans.
Hi, everybody.
Ahmed. We have Mr. Jason. Say hi, Jason.
Hey.
And Mr. Tom.
Hello.
Mr. Tom. I'm just saying Mr. first names because I'm terrible with last names. What is it? It's Tom Sawyer. It's Jason Eli. And
Ely.
It's Ely. See, that's why I'm bad with names. And Ahmed, why don't you just say your last name? It's
Shaker.
Shaker.
Yes, Shaker.
There you go. See,
Yep.
that's why I don't even bother trying. I don't even know why I tried anymore. So, if you've never watched one of our special subscriber edition RTVs, once a month we do a special broadcast. Anybody can watch, but we take questions exclusively from our subscribers. Subscribers are the subset of our backers who subsidize all of our broadcasts, like Around the Verse, Reverse the Verse, Bug Smashers, the monthly jump.
The machine itself.
I'm sorry?
Oh,
We are having an issue hearing
We
you
can't
very
hear you.
well.
Oh, you can't hear me at all?
No, you're
barely.
quiet.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, go ahead and cut it. Sorry, Tom was asking me about the air conditioner. Basically, the subscribers subsidize all of the output that we put out to the community. And this is one of those things. So if you're interested in asking questions to the engineering team, we are taking questions exclusively from our subscriber chat. You can go to robertspaceindustries.com/community/chat and open up the subscriber tab. Of course, you have to be a subscriber to have access to the subscriber tab. For any reason you're not a subscriber and you'd like to become one, you can check the main menu at the top of the website for information about how to become a subscriber. So why don't we start? Talking a little bit about who we are and what you guys do, so folks can tailor their questions specifically to you guys, because there's a lot of misconceptions about what an engineering team does. A lot of folks were calling you the DevOps team earlier, in the week and stuff like that. So let's start the broadcast by clearing up a lot of misconceptions before we get started. So Ahmed, why don't you start us off and tell us a little bit about what it is that you actually do for Cloud Imperium Games?
So, yeah, I'm principal DevOps engineer. Mainly, I take care of the day-to-day operation of all game cloud infrastructure, and I take care of the automation configuration with a large team. We have, I think most of the subscribers know a bunch of the names we have on the team. We have Miles, Kagan, Andy, Nate, JPP, Gerard. That's the DevOps team. I'm here to represent my team, not just myself. And yeah, we are the people that run all the cloud infrastructure and take care of the builds that you guys get to see and play all the time.
Okay. And where did you come to us from? Where were you before?
I came mainly from the web industry. This is my first gaming job. I had game studio clients before, but they were mainly doing like web games. I came from running the operation in a startup in Egypt called Spiral Systems. We were mainly supporting startups struggling under load. Our bigger segment, or like the biggest segment we had of clients, were mainly people who have very high traffic in a very short period of time. They don't know how to manage their scaling. They want to move from being in bare metal to virtualization to cloud, move between cloud providers. So yeah, my background was mainly in the cloud and the scaling area, automation, all of that. And when I saw the job posting and a very high fidelity MMO that needs to run in the cloud, that was very interesting. The statefulness in the game, all of that is completely different from anything in the web. So I thought, and I was correct, that it will bring up like some crazy challenges that I've never seen before. And here I am. I've been here for a year and 3 months almost.
Gotcha. We'll come back to that, how an MMO that runs in the cloud is different and an interesting challenge. I want to get to the other introductions here. Jason, tell us what you do for Cloud Imperium Games.
Well, I'm in charge of the architecture of the backend services. Pretty much on the day-to-day, we identify what what game features need as far as backend services, and help design the proper services and interaction between those in the game. Pretty much just make the world work on the back end.
Right.
The things that people don't see. We're kind of underappreciated in that sense. But when something happens, we're the first ones to.
Fair enough. Can you give us an example of what a back-end service is?
Yes, like a friend service. We have persistence now, which basically is in charge of bringing items from the game servers into the database and that sort of thing. We also have the general instance manager, which is essentially in charge of spooling up and shutting down game instances and managing game sessions.
Okay. And that's different from netcode.
Network code is more between the clients and the actual game server. The game server would be, like your Arena Commander game sessions, or when you're actually flying around in Crusader. That's the more real-time, Twitch type of play. The backend services is more, it's
the stuff between the servers as opposed to between the servers.
Command and control. Yeah, command and control.
Gotcha. All right. And Tom, what do you do for Cloud Imperium Games?
I work with Jason here. I'm a senior server programmer as well, and just working on the back end as well. Just with all the services that we have in the back end, dealing with a lot of the command and control tools that we give the QA guys and the live ops team, so that we have some idea of what's going on in real time, both in the public test realm and the live and things like that. And of course, anytime there's an issue, I log in and I'm doing heart surgery on live servers, in production and stuff behind the scenes. Sometimes there are issues when we do a fresh deployment, something that's been built up between like a 2.4 and a 2.4.1 and things like that. Just making sure everything works. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, the three of us here are pretty much the primary firefighters. We're the first line of defense in those cases.
Yeah.
Yes,
something goes wrong.
It is very common in the 24 to 48 hours after a new patch goes out to see you guys in Skype at all hours of the night. So
we doing some very risky stuff, but the show must go on. We must keep these servers up and running the best we can. So
absolutely. And Jason, where were you before Cloud Imperium Games?
A number of places. Let's see. I started in the game industry at Origin, working on Ultima and Crusaders. And then I actually started my own company, Asylum Software. I started making my own little MMOs, Elderlands and Lothgar Online, and they're small boutique type of games, retro style things. They're nothing on the scale of this. And that's where I got into actually, building, massive online worlds and such. So this was really attractive. Coming over here to this, it's on such a grand scale. I also worked at Qualcomm as a server engineer over there, building, high performance network applications.
All right. So. And how about you, Tom? Where were you before this?
I was with a Sony PlayStation for almost a decade in San Diego. I was with the Online Technology Group, and we built up network libraries and server architecture for first party and second party studios. And by the time I left, we shipped about 160 PlayStation titles using this framework. I have to admit, I'm more of an FPS guy before I came to Cloud Imperium Games. You kind of do things a little bit differently, and now that we're an MMO, there's a whole different set of problems to solve. And that's where Jason is, really, really helpful, just having his MMO experience and persistence, itemization. Itemization is, in my mind, the most technical, complex part of an MMO. Just, managing just all these items that can be traded with other players. You can purchase them on a website and it syncs up and, tradable in mailboxes and shops and stuff. So,
and this is a completely different beast as far as itemization in an MMO. We're on like orders of magnitude more than other MMOs.
Yeah. So this 2.4 release is huge. There's a huge investment to get itemization done right with persistence. And of course, when we're talking about persistence, we're talking about account-based persistence. Your player, your stuff, your ships, things like that. But we're going to be growing over time as soon as we have instance persistence and more of a worldwide persistence.
Yeah, there's so much more persistent data coming, but the most important right now is to get an itemization for players. So when they're in the game and they acquire items, when they change loadout on their ship, that stuff persists between sessions, between builds.
Now, persistence is something that it's fundamental for every MMO. We talk about it a lot, like it's a major thing for us, and it is. But it's like tires on a car. You can't have an MMO without persistence.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons it's such a big deal for us that we talk about as much is because no other MMO is out at this point in development. No other MMO is publishing, an alpha prior to the creation of their persistent, database and the cache and all these back-end systems and whatnot. So, I mean, we hear a lot of chat from the community about, why is persistence such a big deal and whatnot. It's a big deal because it is a huge milestone in our development. It's something we always knew had to come. It's something that's been on the roadmap since the beginning, but because we're building this game out in front of people. We're allowing them to play it as we build it and whatnot. They're experiencing this milestone that every MMO goes through at some point, but they're experiencing it as it happens instead of months and in most cases years after this milestone happens in development. What can you tell us about building persistence while everybody is sitting there watching?
Well, I guess I'll say that it's something that's definitely needed. People don't realize, the importance of it. It's not a sexy feature to promote, for PR wise, because it's an expected feature. It's not like, hey, we got this great new feature over here. It's got a lot of bling, and you all are going to love it. It's more of an expected thing, but it takes a huge amount of work, and we had to be very careful on how we brought it into the universe. We had to bring it in the right time. We had to make sure a lot of the game design was, the itemization and such was kind of hammered out. And, it's never 100%, we still have a lot of data that's yet to be designed before we can persist it. But we had to get the players' inventory, their ships, their entitlements, their pledges and such. We had to make sure that there's a lot of things locked down with that before we could even begin a strategy on how to persist it, because there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes, especially with this game, considering that we have, your average player is going to have thousands upon thousands of items rather than hundreds as in other MMOs. We had to take very specific approaches and tailor the data in such a way to where we don't get into situations where we're bogged down. We have throughput issues and such like that. So
it's definitely an all hands on deck
Yeah.
feature because not only do the server programmers have the back end to manage all this data, for potentially 50 to 250 1,000 current players and just managing all this data and stuff and with our caching services. But you got the gameplay guys, you got the UI team, that have to have visual displays inside the game so that you can manipulate the different items and move them around and stuff and get those changes taking place, push them back up to the persistent cache service, and then we got these little delta timers actually right to the database. We've got these middle tiers, business tiers, to manage the items, so that we have complete control of when it writes to the database.
Right.
If we didn't have those middle tiers, then oh my God, we would blow the database driver out of the water with all these transactions coming through. So,
Right. We have to have these different tiers because one particular game server you may have like 30 people or 20 people on it, whatever, and a lot of items are changing and being sent to the caching layer, which holds the data for a certain amount of time, and then we'll write it to the database in a controlled manner. But when we have 100 game servers, that becomes a problem. So we have to have multiple layers of throttling and caching in order to have complete control over the rate at which data comes into the system, into the back-end system, and into the database in a way to where we don't kill the database.
And plus the auditing tools, so that customer support and QA and all that stuff. For every item in the game, we can get a history of where it was at any given time, when it got traded, when it got sold to a vendor, when it was purchased, or deleted from the website and got resynced, with the universe, cluster, things like that. So there's a lot of command and control tools in place to manage items. So.
Now, Ahmed, you talked a bit about building an MMO in the cloud and how that's different than. Talk to us about what makes Star Citizen in the cloud such a unique thing.
So, not to get too much back, when the cloud movement started, people said it's not for everyone. You cannot just take your app and put it in the cloud in a VM, because it didn't matter whether you have it in a bare metal, have it in a VM in a small kind of host provider to be in one of the big public clouds. You have to use the other abstraction layers that the cloud provides to you. The cloud provides to you object storage, block storage that can move between VMs. VMs can be migrated, different concepts of firewalls, different concepts of VPN, and everything is offered to you as a service. That's a lot of good work happening for you, saving you and your team from doing all this tedious work that's technically inventing the wheel. However, you are relying on resources shared among other people. So everything about the cloud provider tells you, you gotta design for failure. Expect me to go down at any moment. Expect this to happen. Expect this to change. And the statelessness. So in websites, most of the time, people try to obtain what we call like there's no state kept within the ephemeral resource that might die at any moment, and I have the state saved outside in redundant form and can be accessed in different ways, which is the basic concept of distributed systems. Having this in the web is like being a first-class citizen in a country that talks your language. Everyone does this, and you look at everyone other playbook and steal a game from him and just do it, and people call threatened towards that. Games are the complete opposite. They are very, very stateful. An MMO is extremely stateful. It's not even match-based, it's not session-based. So you expect that you leave your machine running for 24 hours if you can hold standing out for 24 hours playing and you want this to happen. And also, you're not going to tolerate having a 404 or a 500 or 2 that you see in the websites in the middle of that huge epic game where you get like your amazing loot, whatever you are looking for. So given this sort of stability in the cloud is not really easy. And dealing with the cloud quirks, because the cloud does a lot of good work for me, but also takes a lot of control out of my hands. I could have made this thing, work that thing in this way and stop the password here and only replicated this half, and I can't. I'm using whatever the abstraction layer the cloud provider provided me and the tools I'm using just like anyone else. So the challenge is MMO games are an alien in the cloud, while all the web technology are the first class citizen. So being this kind of alien that no one else is doing what we're, so we have been watching a lot of companies when they go and talk with other tools, other conferences talking about their cloud adaptation. Not a lot of people really manage to have the simulator, which is the dedicated game server in the cloud efficiently, having everything working fine, and that's the challenge. There are people that did what I mentioned in the beginning. They took their original data center bare metal infrastructure and carried it and put it in the cloud on VMs. And it's the same exact way. That's not what we're trying to do, and it's a challenge because, as I mentioned, to get a tiny bit technical, if you're going to use a new tool...
Too late.
If you want to use a new tool in the cloud or a new service in the cloud and you code in a modern language, and your use case is just create like a CRUD, something that you create, remove records and all of that, you would find an example within 5 minutes. And you will look at it and you just saved yourself a lot of time and then move from there.
Gotcha.
Using a C++, using a game, that's a different
Gotcha.
thing to deal with.
Now, you're talking about challenges. We have some plans in place to address these challenges. Some of them we're not quite ready to talk about yet. Certain reveals of certain things we like to leave to Chris and what to talk about when the time comes. But in the broadest sense, in the stuff that's not going to get us in trouble tonight, what can you tell us about how we're facing those challenges?
Yes. So the way we look at it, we want to implement what's currently being known as the event-driven data center. How to have So the more I provide what we call sometimes fluid resources, the games that they can move, like deployment time, like they call these main buzzwords in our business DevOps, the time to market. How fast would it be for me to scale a game server for you? How easy would it be to retain resources I do not need? How can I repurpose resources? Because the cloud is mostly a utility computing. You pay for what you use. And that's a completely different approach. Then you own your data center and built it, and now these stuff are yours, and then you use it, you do not use it, that's a different story. So back to my original idea I was talking about, we want to implement the event-driven data center, that every piece of software that goes through a major event that the infrastructure should know about would fire an event through a wide channel of info buses that have reactors reacting to it and acting upon it. That's the big picture. So and we can orchestrate this the way we want, because the orchestration is the word here. That's what you need to know. You need to make all the logic that Jason and Tom and the gameplay guys are writing react or report what it needs, and my infrastructure reacts to it, whether by expanding, by replacing, by that's a bad member of our cluster. We should take it out. Oh no, this is not gonna get auto healed or self healed. We gotta walk Ahmed up or go Tom's up. That's the plan. Move into that, and the way we usually do it in DevOps and even in back-end services shops, you cannot really sit in a room and get this amazing big white paper and draw everything. Yeah. It's impossible. You will definitely have bad designs. So we go through the MVP, like the minimum viable product. Okay, this will deliver my idea. I'm gonna scale right now, or I'm gonna make the players get in the game and watch, because maybe there might be a new feature I'm not really putting in my mind, or maybe it's the same concept that all the successful startups followed, like how Facebook believed that you should move fast and break things. Yeah. However, until you go out to the market corrects you. That also goes really quick to your point in the beginning about persistence. If we laid out persistence before seeing the game itself and came the game with a get going, we'll be just going, breaking walls and moving around them. While right now we are more mature, we can start from a point where we understand this is what the game looks like. The game designers had their time, discuss some ideas, bounce it back and forth. The implementation is going to be a lot easier when you have something to test with.
Cool. Yeah, at one point, we didn't even have any of the game data designed. Nobody knew what we had to persist, for example. Yeah. So we had to actually go through several meetings and
I remember those meetings
to figure out what are we going to persist and how are we going to do it.
Yep, I remember those meetings sitting there like, nope, like, the players have this and the players have this, and this needs to sit up with turbulent, and this needs this needs to be pulled down and live in the universe. So.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of transitioning on ownership and communication of all that data.
Yep.
I mean, that's still evolving today.
Absolutely. I mean, there's still game systems yet to come online that will have to be integrated into persistence as it goes. We're gonna get to your subscriber questions in just a minute. I want to ask Jason and Tom one more question. Follow up on, you were talking about the scale of the game and how the scale of Star Citizen dwarfs things that you'd worked on before. Talk to us a little bit about the scale of Star Citizen.
Well, we can start with itemization. Like a game like World of Warcraft, for example, you can have you can have hundreds of items on the character, and that seems like a lot. Yeah, a lot of items to keep track of and so on, and stored in your inventory or in your bank and so on. Where in Star Citizen, just with your ships, the things that you buy on the website right now, you are already in the thousands, and you can easily have players with, we're going to have north of 50,000 items associated with one player. That's a scale that I've never had to deal with before, but it's it's something that we've been able to put a lot of thought into and figure out the best way to deal with it, and and it's still going to evolve, because at some point, if we have 1 million online at one time, that's a 50,000 per player. That's a lot of data to move around. Mm-hmm.
So before persistence, our architecture is very first-person shooter-like. Coming from Sony, the initial server cluster kind of looked like some of the models that we had over at Sony, where we had 250,000 concurrent with the simulators. With that type of framework, we know where to scale horizontal. If we break from 250 to 1 million, we know what we need to federate next. So taking those principles from Sony and applying it to CIG, we can most likely hit those same numbers. But once you add persistence, then we have to go back to the drawing board and figure out where the bottlenecks are going to be, what services are needed to get federated horizontally, and things like that. So.
Yeah. Like we're writing all of our services in C++ just for the performance, and we can any given service can handle a large number of players and a large amount of data passing through it. So one of the ways we're going to scale, like Tom was saying, horizontally, is we have to. There's two things to consider. There's we have to load balancing and then availability. So we have to make sure that if any service goes down, that there's something else there, another one there to pick it up or whatever. That the service that this the service is always available no matter what. No matter what. So we'll have multiple instances of a particular service up at any given time. And if one goes down, there's another one available, and so on. And the load balancing aspect would be just to distribute
Nope.
across multiple instances of a particular service.
Definitely want to apply the mega server methodologies, where you have a single login and just like a single universe that you are in, where you can play with anybody around the world, rather than fragmenting up the player base on a server by server basis. That once you lock into a server, that's it. You can only interact with those people. So we're trying to design that up front. So with the mega server architecture in mind for both persistence and the regular matchmaking and persistent universe concepts.
Yeah, and the services themselves right now, like players and objects have a location, so we already view them as a location in one universe. And there's other technical issues that have to be addressed with the game servers and interaction in the instances and stuff like that to really make the players feel like they are in that one large universe. But we've already been fighting that battle on the back end.
And you used a buzzword just a few minutes ago, and I can already tell the questions are coming in. What's a mega server?
One giant world. It's essentially a collection of servers with services working together to give the perception of one world, one server.
Right.
Rather than like World of Warcraft, where you got a list of like 250 servers that, once you join, you're locked into that. So.
Yeah, and this is pretty interesting. It's an interesting challenge because we have to not only deal with U.S. players, we have to, consider people in Europe and in Asia and South America and so on. So
Australia,
we
don't leave Australia out. I'll get posts. I said, don't leave Australia out. I'll get posts.
Oh, yeah, Australia, yeah.
All right. So
it's a global mega server. So we have to make sure that the players feel that they are there and that they can play with their U.S. friends, they can play with their European friends, whomever. It feels like you're next door. You're not transitioning into another realm type of thing.
Gotcha. All right, guys, so we'll start taking questions from our subscribers. Again, subscribers, if you wish to ask a question of Ahmed, Tom, or Jason, you can type your question into the subscriber chat on the RSI website. Please preface your question with the word question, surrounded by brackets. It'll help me pick it out through the chat. We are not taking questions from either Twitch chat or the regular general chat on our website, strictly through the subscriber chat. First question up is from China Shop Rodeo. He wants to know, have you ever had a typo break everything? Similar to instances where DNS configurations have brought down the cloud to Chrome pointing entire workflows to some other website.
I did have one of these. None of us never had one of these. Yeah, one time. So the way we deploy our environments is very well known in the cloud and the DevOps industry by the word green blue deployments, that we would have a full environment running, whether it's BTU or live, players can see it. And then we stage a shadow environment complete full. And then at the moment we just switch the load balancer and the blade get moved. So I can't remember, was it 2.2? I can't remember what it was. And I had to edit very, very large files with a lot of different, we are an alpha project.
Yes.
So sometimes we broke our own rules. And you would, I'm gonna test it right before I do it. Yeah, we have no time. The thing that we have in DevOps, and I think we have in Austin, we deliver whatever the company needs to be delivered as quick as possible. And whenever it needed to be delivered. So yeah, it was one of these things where you hack something really quick, and I had an extra space in a URL that goes for a platform APIs in a very gigantic dictionary that will generate a lot of configuration that will go to different services. And this space led to issues with authentication. So QA were testing, trying to get in, and nothing is working. And it took a while. The error message wasn't very, very clear. So yeah, these things always happen. But the good thing is we did not do it in production. We had it in the staging one, so we get to fix it and see it. And I'm sure like every person running live production servers all the time get to see some of these human errors.
Yeah. All right. Jiru has a question. He wants to know if you use common framework like springs or struts on the back end.
If I remember right, Spring and Struts, was a Java
Java, yeah.
Java, yeah.
J2EE framework.
Yes.
Our universe cluster is primarily C++ with some third-party libraries that we customize. But the web platform, on the other hand, do use a lot of web-based technologies and stuff. So
Okay. Disastrophe. Disastrophe. There's a combination of disaster and catastrophe. Disastrophe. Good name. What configuration management tools does the team use to administer, configure servers in the cloud? Also, what kind of log analysis management tools are used?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of focusing on the brands, but like, yeah, we currently use Chef, and we use a bunch of our home-brewed scripts that mainly does the provisioning. So I'm gonna try to talk like we can bring up a graph that would explain a lot of my work and a lot of
Sure.
what we do. And
What? You mean you had a graph
Yes,
ready
1 second. Just gotta share screen.
and I picked this question just for this? What?
That one.
We didn't rehearse
And
this, folks.
Start and pull up this. All right.
Yeah, that's so. If we start all the way in the right,
I'm
you
not-
guys can see
I'm
the
not
build
seeing there.
system
Hold on.
in
There we go.
Austin.
There we
That's
go.
where everything is being built. Our current build system is based on a build system called BuildBot. It's highly modified and customized to our own needs, the way it schedules and manage the fanning in, fanning out, all dependency, everything in the build system is custom made for us. So the outcome from the build system will be a build, which is all the binaries needed to run the client, to run the server, and run the backend services and a bunch of other files. They get uploaded to an object storage in the cloud. As you can see, it's still on the right. And from there, now we have the build. We want to deliver it as fast as possible. Our current cloud provider gives us a good advantage here that we can create an ephemeral box at this moment, and we pull the build down, and we do whatever we want to do in the OS at this moment, like install packages, make sure that we change the deal limits, make sure that everything is optimized the way we want it, and then we create snapshots from both of these. This whole process takes a few minutes, usually 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It highly depends on the WAN link content. Yeah, I mean, who's fighting with me over uploading something? It could be me too uploading somewhere else. So yeah, this is mainly like internet speed kind of limit, and then we get the snapshot. The snapshot can create disks, and these disks can be shared across the whole cluster. So if we scroll back up again, now you understand that the build existed in the snapshot. You as a player sitting here, that's your game client, you start your launcher batcher, and your launcher batcher would go grab the build for you from the CDN. The CDN, or the content delivery network, is a bunch of endpoints globally distributed, trying to deliver you as fast as possible the files that you need, and you pull them down in your game client. Now you have the build. The build needs to connect. So you would have some connection between you and the hub load balancer that takes you to the hub servers, all of them. So you have a bunch of different hub servers that handle your connection. You go there over TCP. The hub servers go to the platform, make sure that you are the guy who you claim you are, and you have a connection with the platform. From here, the hub servers will take your traffic to most of the services that Tom and Jason did here in the core server. They live in a single box, and we can say why they live in a single box for now. And one of them is the persistence services. We have two main services, persistence cache and persistence service itself, and they connect to our MySQL database clusters that has masters and slaves and backup and all these cool stuff. And here you set all your dedicated game servers and different game servers. All these boxes I drawn represent an environment. Any cloud environment right now in Cloud Imperium games has to be 3 different VMs with 3 different types of rules, one of them for the hub, one of them for all the core services, and one of them for the game server. This is not any way near final. That's what we need now to get everything running and see how we want to scale and change the stuff. The difference between environment between QA, BTU, and live, really quick. QA is 1, 1, 1. BTU is multiple of these, one of these, multiple of these. Live is much larger. The question that he asked also relates to these bunch of servers. We have our infrastructure servers, we have log aggregation systems, we have monitoring systems, tools for dev support, and tools for analytics. We use Chef here we use a bunch of home-brewed scripts here, and over here we have a Splunk, we have Graphite, Grafana, StatsD, we have a stack driver, we have a bunch of core dump like analysis to look at. Like we have a bunch of servers, have GDB server for developers to look at. We have some stuff related to Google Breakbed. I wanna like I know that we have a lot of backers who came from technical background and I see their posts, so I'm trying to keep in balance where like I use a lot of technical jargon, then I go back to something high level. So yeah, this is not any weird final. Actually, right now, if I mentioned that we are working on a new deployment pipeline that would be the way to the event-driven data center I was talking about, where the scaling in and out, or like out and in and out would be like easy and usable under heavy load.
All right, turn this off.
Very cool. Let's get you back on the screen. Buttons. All right, so thank you for having that graph all set up, Ahmed. Our next question is a very popular question about patch reduction sizes. Even Dragon wants to know if you can what insight you can provide as to the progress of patch reduction, the system that checks and sends you only the files that you need instead of everything else. I want you. What can you tell us about that system?
Yeah, this project is running on lots of caffeine on lots of people across the world. This is one of the biggest projects that we have, and it involves people from so many different departments. We have people from DevOps, we have people from IT, people from engine programmers, people in the platform. Everyone is working together to have our own batcher, and also like the batcher launcher system or the new batch delivery system is not going to only affect the players, it's going to affect even our internal developers, the way that they receive their own builds. Actually, our internal developer has kind of an edge case to the player outside in the world, because he pull a lot of builds all the time. So yeah, work is running. I see all the change lists coming in and out. I see all the commits happening. We get to have meetings every now and then to make sure that we are all still have the same features that we require from the whole system. It's going to be awesome. I mean, so we feel really bad that when we deliver 3 builds for you guys in one single day, you can only play the last one, because by the time you finish the first one, and we want to give you this seamless kind of like, I'm a DevOps guy and I live for the world that has my thoughts on it. All what I care about is giving you the content that's ready for you as fast as possible. So having a smaller batch is a key for all of us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been working.
Yeah, it's one of those challenges, again, because we're operating a live environment at such an early point in our development. Any other game would have, persistence would be in, this low-level patching system would be in, and all this stuff would be in before they even started their first alpha. So, it's Mike. Is it Mike Pickett who's working on that in Austin?
Yes, Mike Pickett. Mike Pickett was one of the very first people that was talking about this issue, having his own design on it. But like it extends to a lot of people, because the way we are looking at it, to do everything right, you have to have this system native in all the endpoints that need to use it. So every part should be aware of it to deliver this kind of experience where like, I'm downloading, now the game is playable, then it can be complete. All these fun, amazing, good stuff need to be done. And the scale. Always the scale is the key, that you need to do this right. You need to do this, that's not an indie game. I mean, we are, it's a startup, but we understand how big our community is. So when we build a foundation technology like this, we need to look at all edge cases, make sure everything will work, even if we have 1 million people downloading right now, because we do not really want to be the ones that cap our own success. Our game is very successful by it is right now, and we are here just to serve the success.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's. I wanted to throw a shout out to Mike. We have a very large team with our video content, community only in one place, and so now in 2 places. Now we have Austin. We only get to showcase a select few number of faces, week in, week out. But we have a huge team of people working on just about every aspect of this game. So we like to give shout outs wherever possible. So Mike, good work. I've never met you. I've never even talked to you, but I know your name and I know you're working.
Awesome.
I know you're working your butt off.
Yep.
So thanks, Mike. All right, what else do we got here? We put up a thread over the weekend to collect some questions early. There was one that we had to ask. Where was it? Something about Ahmed being awesome. I can't find it.
I'll second that.
Yeah, there it goes. Caldroma asked this question specifically for Ahmed. Why are you so amazing? It's the glasses. I don't know. Laura Keturnis asks, what color network cable is your nemesis? He says he hates the light purple ones. He hates the light purple network cables.
Yeah, he brings up good memories. Like dealing with stuff that I can touch with my hands, like stopped a while ago, like a few years ago when we had to wire cables and remember which wiring and what colors we hit. Yeah, that's how we start. Nowadays we forget about all these stuff, and that's the beauty of the cloud. We tell us stuff to happen and they happen. They don't always happen the right way, and that's our job to make sure they always come out the right way. But yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. I didn't wire a network cable for a while. I didn't touch an RJ45 do this for a while.
Yes, no. I ran my own IT company for a number of years, and absolutely whenever possible, I got some intern or somebody to wire my cables, because I just getting down into the nitty gritty, and then trying to you do A on one end and then B on the other one. You're like, what the heck was you start questioning. You start thinking your brain is defective.
There is a moment happened after 2.0. Actually, this brings up that talk about the cable. A few years ago, none of us would have imagined that was one single person that you will be running 1,500 cores. That's the beauty of the cloud, because we're talking about the cloud a lot. When 2.0 went up, I'm not gonna talk about concurrency, but there was a lot of cores running under Star Citizen name at our cloud provider. And having this overseen by one or two people is how cool it is that we don't really need to worry about the cables, the racks, all of these stuff at this phase.
Gotcha. Daz asks a question that we're not going to answer, but I want to ask it to explain why we're not going to answer it, because this type of question comes up quite often. Daz asks, hey guys, in some MMOs, bot armies that set out to grind currency become an issue. What is being done to prevent exploits farming from being an issue? We get asked a lot what we're going to do to prevent cheating and stuff like that. We don't answer those questions because we don't want the bad guys to know what we're doing. So I understand why the good guys would want to know what the things that we're doing and the details and how we're going to go about it. It's just one of those catch-22s where the more info on those things that we put out, the more info the bad guys have to circumvent. So
just know that Jason's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve, based on his experience and stuff. So
the best thing to do, you don't answer the question, but you make sure that they know we're watching, we know what they're going to do, and make them paranoid. So we will catch them.
Yep. We know who you are, Robert.
Oh yeah.
Command and control.
Command and control. We hear a lot about client frame rate and server frame rate.
Yeah.
Is that something you can speak about? What dictates a server frame rate and how that can affect?
I can't. So there is not a clear lock point. I mean, that's not my area of ownership of work. Mm-hmm. That's the area I'm like a very first close neighbor to. I do not believe that we have a very, very specific lock step. This is what locks the client.
Right. Like the client frame rate is usually the rate at which you're refreshing the graphics and so on. So on the server side, on the DGS, we call it the DGS. That's the simulation rate, and they're not locked together. So
okay,
yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of players are concerned with the FPS, and I was planning. First of all, I want to ask every single person who plays BTU and all the amazing people who play Avocati and the great people that I woke up during the night is like, hey, I have a new combination I want to test it, and people calling each other and coming online. This is amazing. I haven't seen anything. I can imagine this even possible. In my interview a year and a few months ago, I was asking, so you guys teaching me about games. How do you guys just test? It's like US people. It's like, what do you mean? It's like our gamers, our players are awesome. It's like, I can't believe that we'll be able, I have a new case. I want to test it. So you will see, it will happen in a few minutes. You just say you want to test that, you'll find people coming from nowhere. So all what we try to do at BTU is defining pain points that should be addressed. Optimization is a deep rabbit hole that you need always to be worried about premature optimization. Mm-hmm. So, but also we have a product out in the market that you guys are playing and want to make it playable and fun. Yeah. So all what I'm trying to aid myself and my team with the guys working in Frankfurt and the guys working in the UK and over here in LA, to try to point them as much as we can to that main pinpoint, like, oh, if you spend some time in this, we might get some advantage.
Yeah.
But what we have right now is nowhere near to what we would deliver. We have so many tricks in our bags that we know it's not the right time for us to like battle test them.
Yes.
But we really need to care about, like, yeah, you guys were suffering that much and we enhanced it 10%, 5%, 7%. Yeah, it's still livable. And we still having an eye on what's going on. And also, sometimes we are not willing to enhance anything right now, but we want to see, did our new coder logic or complexity tax us a lot? Did it become very expensive or not? So thank you so much, guys, for all the amazing work you do testing BTU.
Yeah, there's a rad telemetry profiles being generated all the time, and that gets disseminated to each of the teams appropriately and stuff. So people will have on their radar what is most expensive on the game servers as well as the client stuff, and just tackle it at the right time. But there's just so many features going into the game. It's like you say, premature optimization and stuff. Once you start doing optimizing code, it looks a little different than normal, and you don't want to
come over and say hi.
Right, and there's a wide range of things that we can optimize. I mean, from the client side, you're going to have things from rendering. You're going to have a client-side simulation, and also you're going to have network latency. And then on the back end, there's all the physics and all the other things that happen there. Then there's also things that where the game servers may rely on responses from the services. And so there's a wide number. And so we don't want to pre-optimize now, but when we start, and we do, and we optimize certain things over time, the low-hanging fruit and such like that. But there's so many different departments that are going to focus on their little areas, but we have to focus on them at the right time. Like if we pre-optimize now, we could end up painting ourselves in the corner later.
Exactly. There's probably nothing more important in game development than prioritization. I mean, we talk about the size of our team, and our team is massive, but it's still finite. And there's only so many things they can work on at any given time. And when you know something is temporary, when you know something is meant to hold us over to get us to the new system that's coming down, in a later patch, you don't want to spend too much time optimizing or working on this system that is temporary and you're going to replace. So it's a constant balancing act between all the. It's always the picture. The thing we always used was the guy that was spinning plates. All the different poles where you're spinning a bunch of plates on top of the 10 different poles. So whenever we were spinning up servers, we used to call them spinning up plates, spinning up disks and stuff like that. Let's see. The Jabberwock has a question. He says, will the website be hosted, served from the same servers as the game, or will they just access the same backend database?
The backend, the website and the backend services are about to have a very close relationship. Prior to this, it's pretty much it's always been us, the services and platform, but we're now coming together. So the services will look at them as another service, and they'll look at us as part of their own system. So we're getting married.
We're using RESTful APIs right now, which works on the internet, but we're co-located now, so we're going to have dedicated channels so we get bi-directional communication.
Yeah, we'll have the set of services that have stateful high-speed communication mechanisms to the platform, and we've been working with them on how to architect both sides to make that as streamlined as possible.
Yeah. Make
the data, the response, and the data and so on. Because and I'll use an example right now. When you buy an entitlement, or you purchase a ship on the website, there's no way for platform to tell us that you purchased the ship. So when you log in, we grab your package, which contains all the items all the ships that you purchased and so on, and then we know about it, and then we can create the actual in-game items and persist them. But with the high speed, this new high speed communication system, the moment you buy a ship, they will notify us. We can expand the ship immediately and have it ready for you by the time you log in the game.
When it comes to community-based features, like statistics and achievements and things like that, a lot of those features really are best implemented with like a web-based technology. And then you just, if we have a direct line of communication, we can just trigger those things immediately. So.
And we'll be able to call functions from them directly as a service and so on. And there's an API we provide for them as well, so they can request any data from us and generate events. We can generate events back and forth to each other.
It's one of the things that's so awesome about working with a partner like Turbulent. So
Yeah, those guys are really good.
They're awesome.
yeah,
It's the first time I, got on a project where the website was done before the game. So.
yes. And then so much
we,
of the
we all think about solving the problems in the same way. So it's a very good match.
and so much of the functionality, like ship ownership and all this stuff, it all exists on the website. And now we're pulling that down into the game. Yeah. No, it's great to have that kind of buy-in from a partner, because whenever you're working with a third-party vendor, you never quite know exactly what the level of buy-in is. This is on any project, not just video games or whatever. So we're continuously very lucky to have partners like Turbulent with the level of buy-in they have. So, Benoit, I love you. All right, so Captain Steve, we're wrapping up here, fast running out of time. He wants to know, what hypervisor do you use in the cloud, and also what core operating system do you use to run the game?
Yeah, currently we are in GCE, Google Cloud Engine. The hypervisor used over there is their own custom KVM. I don't believe that the hypervisor that we would use would be, there are different ways of implementation, how we abstract the CPU instructions from the bare metal to the VMs, but I don't think we would be having an issue whether we're running on Zen and on KVM.
Welcome back, Twitch. If you're not a streamer, you're probably watching an ad right now. Basically, we had a computer crash here. We're at the end of our broadcast anyway, so we just came back to say thanks for everybody for watching and for supporting us and for submitting questions. Ahmed, Jason, Tom, anything you want to say before we let you go?
We are very thankful for your time, guys, in BTU. We're going to have a stress test at 3 p.m. in a little bit. That would be great to have you guys testing our code, making sure it looks solid and nice. We are really grateful for you guys helping us with all of this thing, all this work. That's on my end.
Yep. And we're happy to be here, putting together something and, amazing, and giving you all a great gaming experience.
Got nothing, Tom?
I'm just hoping the PTU goes well so I can fall asleep tonight. So.
Fair enough.
The stress test is starting in 3 minutes, and you can get with Will in Discord.
Yep. So if you're in the PTU and you have access to Discord, jump in there now. We'll be doing our big stress test for 241 in just a few minutes. Ahmed, Jason, Tom, thanks so much for taking the time. I know we tried to get you in last month, and work prevailed. But thanks for taking an hour out of your time to sit with us and chat with us and talk about a little bit about your work and take some questions from the fans. So guys, thanks a lot. Regular RTV is back on Friday. Be sure to check out Around the Verse episode 100 tomorrow. It's part one of our multi-part episode 100 celebration. So check that out, and I'll see you again on Friday. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.